How was growing up with a twin brother?
A lot of people ask us, how is it to have a twin? How does it feel? But we don't know how it doesn't feel. So it's pretty, only thing I can say is odd is in the street, people would just like start talking to me
Yeah.
or him and assume we're each other. And we just roll with it.
Did you ever have an instance where you were like dating a girl, like you or him, and then like you played a joke and kind of tried to? Nah, you didn't
not
do the old
really.
switch up.
Yeah. Because once you know us, you can kind of tell the difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And his girlfriends and my girlfriend tend to not like us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it very competitive growing up with a twin? Or were you
Uh,
guys always getting along pretty well?
Now we used to fight, but we was always together. Everywhere you seen one, you seen the other.
Yeah.
If you didn't see us together, it was odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys started a business together.
Yeah, jewelry store.
What's the name of the jewelry store?
Blanc's Gold and Diamonds.
Blanc's Gold and Diamonds.
Yeah,
And it's in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg.
correct.
People can also, do you have a website as well?
Yes, BlancsGoldandDiamonds.com.
Blanc's Gold, BLANCS Gold and Diamonds.com.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you're a business owner with your brother. Is it just you and your brother outright, or is there a third partner as well?
No, we got friends that's involved as far as sales, everything like that. Yeah, but it's just
Okay.
mainly me and him. Yeah.
So you guys came together
Yeah.
to start a business. How long ago did you guys start the business?
We started at the end of COVID, and then we started from a home office. We started making pieces online, and we literally meeting people in the street with chains, and then because it was only going to be a hobby, we never anticipated to become a business.
Mm.
But then it became a business. We got a storefront. We started getting traction. Then we had a couple good friends of ours that came and also brought something to the table as far as helping us grow.
That's awesome. How did you get into jewelry?
It was my brother's idea, honestly. And then he was motivated by it because he does aviation in the military.
Your brother does aviation in the
Yeah,
military.
Yeah, so he's already good with sheet metal and riveting and things like that. So he took it up as a hobby, So he figured it'd be easy transition for him.
So spoiler alert, you went to juvie.
I went to jail.
You went to jail.
Yeah, grown up jail, yeah.
And then he went into the military. So you guys were completely.
Yeah, so he was actually my co-defendant on my first case, and he was able to beat the case, and then he went to the military, and I went to jail.
You did not beat the case.
No, it was one of us had to take it. We were wrong,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was unfortunate, but.
Yeah. So what was it like growing up in Brooklyn? Were your parents around?
Well, my father died of cancer when we were 7 years old, and then shortly after that, we dealt with like homelessness and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was pretty tough. I think when you're a kid, you don't notice it though.
Yeah.
It's only in hindsight looking back you notice that it was a little rough. When I see my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many kids you have?
2.
Boy, girl?
A boy and a girl.
A boy. How old are they?
2 and 8.
Oh, you're in it.
Yeah.
You're in it. Is the boy older or the girl?
The girl. The girl's older, yeah.
Girls are good.
Yeah.
I have a girl, 5-year-old.
Yeah, God bless, man.
Yeah. Is the boy just out of his mind?
He's obsessed with me. My girl gets jealous because she's like, I birthed him and he loves you.
He loves you more.
He wants to do everything with me.
Yeah. You're his. He looks up to you. That's an amazing thing. Having kids changed me big time.
Yeah, I agree.
It just turned me into. Look, it's sad to say this late in life, it turned me into a man.
Yeah.
And it not only just from a father-daughter relationship and a parental relationship, but I improved in like my work life. I improved in my relationships that I had, in terms of emotions. I was able to, control my emotions more. It gave me patience, which was huge for me because I'm sober 7 years. You go back 7+ years ago, I was super impulsive. I was out of my mind, making decisions, going a million miles an hour. So it's a beautiful thing, and congrats, man,
thank you,
on the 2 kids.
Yeah, it definitely makes you live less
Yeah,
selfishly.
it does.
Yeah, more considerate.
Would you I'm definitely jumping all over right now, but would you give a lot of credit to your success, to your, parenting and the home life that you have today?
I think it's kind of the opposite. I think the lack of parenting and it's kind of like a sink or swim type of mentality kind of molded us to be entrepreneurs. Because from young we had to survive, so we just
Yeah.
had to do what we had, whatever resource we had available, we had to do it, and we had to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're 7 years old. Your father passes away from cancer, and I'm sorry
yeah.
for your loss. Your mom now has two boys that are 7 years old. You guys dealt with homelessness. What was that like?
It was embarrassing. Yeah, you kind of feel like not normal as opposed to the other kids. But we were fortunate that family members took us in
Yeah.
and they try to give us, somewhat of a family still, even though it's not mom and dad, it's still, our cousins were like brothers to us and sisters, so we were fortunate in that sense for a while.
Yeah. Family came together.
Yeah.
What ethnicity are you?
I'm Puerto Rican and Irish.
The Puerto Rican
Yeah.
families, I feel like any kind of Latin culture,
Yeah.
families come together. It's
Yeah.
big families, they come together and, whether it's support, whether it's emotion, whether it's whatever it is. I
Yeah.
feel like Latin families are super tight knit
Yeah.
and look out for one
Yeah, I
another.
got a ton of family. A lot of my family, we like real diverse.
Yeah.
I'm probably like the lightest one, and we got all shades, all colors. We even got a Filipino in the family now too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, my family's very multicultural. But yeah,
Diverse.
definitely majority Puerto Rican though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome, man. Have you ever been to Puerto Rico?
No, my brother has.
It's cool.
Yeah,
You should check it out.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, so okay, I couldn't imagine the embarrassment feeling. Did you feel different from? Did you feel less than because, some of your friends.
I guess in the household, the best way to probably describe it is like I'm pretty sure most stepchildren could describe it is that you kind of feel like a guest. You never truly feel like it's your home, and you try to be mindful of that. So even though you embrace, then obviously if you took care of somebody's kid, you understand you have to be fair with your own kid, but it's always a little tougher when it's not your own. So
Yeah.
now that I'm older, I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was definitely hard.
For a 7, 8, 9-year old, that's tough to
Yeah,
digest and handle, like, those emotions. I mean, adults have trouble handling those
yeah,
emotions, so it's, I commend you on getting through it, and obviously where you're at today,
yeah,
you're a success story.
yeah. Well,
S
it took many failures to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's crazy, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think if they don't have success the first try, they
yeah,
just give up,
yeah,
when in fact, Michael Jordan said he didn't. I think he didn't make his middle school basketball team or something like that,
yeah,
and he failed so many times until
yeah,
you have that one big success, and then it leads to all these other successes.
yeah.
So, what was what were your teens, high school years like?
Well, we started young because so I was always good in school. I always passed my tests. It was just when I got a little older, attendance was the issue, not showing up and things like that. But other than that, I always was pretty smart. But like I said, not going to school, we was putting money over education, and we just prioritizing that, thinking that was the answer, and it wasn't. And then obviously, when I was 16 years old, I ended up being incarcerated.
What were you doing to make money at that age?
Well, early on, I was working like summer jobs. I was, like I said, packing bags in the supermarket, shoveling snow. At one time, our first business actually as a teenager was a vending route. We had bought these quarter machines and we was going to stores that was opening up, asking if we could put it in there. But it was a little hard to manage being that we didn't have a car back then and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then obviously it progressed and then we just started, following the rest of the hood and selling drugs pretty much.
So prior to 16, you were working odd jobs, like legitimate odd
Yeah,
jobs. And
anything that had money, we was going for it. It didn't matter what it was.
yeah.
Yeah, but the most lucrative was obviously drugs.
So you said you were incarcerated at 16. What had happened?
Well, I spoke about on Ian's platform. It was a physical altercation that ended up in a stabbing. And last time I didn't express remorse. Now that I'm older, I do feel bad, and I feel like that's the problem with a lot of people that grow up in the hood is that everything has to end with a knife or gun if your ego or any, you know what I mean? And it shouldn't be that way. And that's what happened that day, though. And, unfortunately for the guy, he got the bad end of the stick that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, thank God, because if he wouldn't, then both of our life would have probably been over.
Mm. So
Yeah.
you get arrested, you end up, I'm assuming, going to trial?
No, I took a plea. I took
Okay.
it too flat, which
Okay.
was obviously like a slap on the wrist for that type of offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you and your brother were trying to figure out who's taking the rap for, was it a conversation or was it just more of like we look at one another and we know?
Well, they let him out after a few days to fight on the street, and they kept me on Rikers with a bail. So it was like a no-brainer because by the time the plea came, I already had like 2 months in or something like that.
Mm.
So it was kind of like somebody got to take it. We could have probably beat it with a good trial attorney because we're twins. How could you prove beyond a reasonable doubt who did it?
Mm.
But it wasn't worth the risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go to Rikers.
Yeah.
What is Rikers like?
Rikers is bad when you're young. It's still bad when you're older, but it's a bad place, and it's tough. And then obviously you learn how to adjust, and then you just end up being like the rest of people in Rikers,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You did 2 years at Rikers? Did you
yeah,
bounce around?
yeah. Nah, I didn't. I did went upstate. I only did a couple months in Rikers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I went upstate to state prison.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you were there for the rest of your sentence.
yeah.
What was you're in prison, you are now away from the street, you're removed from the street. Now one can argue prison is a street within itself, right? But
Yeah.
what was your thinking like in prison? I'm going to get out, I'm going to chase other opportunities. Are you thinking about potentially changing your life, your lifestyle, what you're doing? What was the thought process?
No, I think when you're a teenager, you're very impressionable, and since I lack male role models, I would look up to the more alpha males that are there. And obviously, prison teaches you how to be a man, but sometimes it teaches you with violence. So you learn that like brute force makes you valuable, and that doesn't transition well into society. I feel like, and I feel like that's why a lot of people have a hard time adjusting to society. It's kind of like soldiers. If you in jail and you get a ranking in a gang, or you get held to a certain standard, when you come home and you got to work under a manager, you feel like you're living less than your potential. And I think that's why a lot of people go back to jail because they feel important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize it.
What was rehabilitation options like in prison? Were there options to really rehabilitate yourself and help yourself?
Now they have programs like custodial maintenance and things like that, but they should offer more independent programs. Like maybe some jails have barbering school, maybe they should have music studios, maybe they should have stuff for people that want to be more independent entrepreneurs as opposed to just a worker. But it does have options if you take advantage. But
I feel like people get out and, you know, first off, you go in and apply for a job, you have a felony and you were incarcerated. So it's like, no, I'm not going to hire you. No, I'm not going to hire you. No. And then people get frustrated. They get overwhelmed.
mhm.
I would. And then they revert back to whatever they were doing.
Yeah, and that's my early years. That's why I went back to prison because that was my mentality. A victim, oh, I make excuses. But as I grew, I learned there's no excuse. You have to condition your mind. Yeah, like I said, you have to be valuable. To if you in jail, you lifting a ton of weights. Your skills is strength, so you might get a hard labor job. A lot of people don't want to do hard labor. So if you want a better employment opportunity, you need to get a trade, a skill, a degree, or something to make you valuable in the workplace. And I don't think a lot of people get that neither.
Mm,
Because when I came home, our other business was a moving company, and I started working the moving company. Then we ended up owning the moving company, but I got a CDL license, and that helped me get, like I said, fair treatment and good work opportunities.
so you were incarcerated 16 to 18 years old.
Yeah, I came home right before 19. Yeah,
Okay. And then you start working for the moving company.
no,
Okay.
nah, not yet, nah.
Okay. So what happens after you get out of prison? You said you went back. So what happened after you get out of prison the first time?
I was looking for work because parole makes you look for work, and I I couldn't find a job. So within like the first week, I was just selling drugs again. And then like 6 months later, I eventually got a job doing maintenance in the YMCA. But at that point, I was still selling drugs, so I didn't want to stop. So I was just working just to police parole,
Yeah.
but still selling drugs.
Were you making a lot more money selling drugs than you were at that job?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
Yeah,
another
yeah,
thing that attracts, yeah, people
yeah.
to,
It's greed, yeah.
yeah.
And then I ended up getting caught and going back to jail.
How did you get caught selling drugs? Someone set you up?
I got caught quite a few times in my life, but that time was with Mark Money. Yeah, somebody set me up.
Marked money.
Yeah, Mark Money.
So you do a deal. Was it with like an undercover or something or an
I was
informant?
like a drug addict, yeah. But I felt like I kind of felt it, but I didn't go with my instincts. And I
Mm.
still did the transaction.
And then they searched you, found the money on you.
They caught me like an hour later, yeah, with the money. Yeah, and thank God I came downstairs because when I came back downstairs and they got me, they said they was waiting on a warrant from the judge. So if they would have got a warrant to search my place, I would have been in a lot more trouble than just that sale.
Yeah.
So thank God I came back outside.
So they don't search the place. You get arrested for that drug deal you did. That's a violation,
Yeah,
clearly. You go back to prison.
I went back to Rikers.
Went back to Rikers. How long?
I had to do a year.
Okay, a bullet.
Yeah, and then I had to do boot camp after.
You got sent to a boot camp?
Yeah, because we either do 97 days boot camp or do another year in prison. So I took the boot camp.
How was boot camp?
Like I said, my twin brothers in the military, so it wasn't that bad for me. I was ready for it mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's tough though.
So you do the year, you do the boot camp. How old are you at this point when you get out?
Probably like 20, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, 20, 21. I don't know.
How old are you now?
I'm 34.
So 20 to 34. Do you go back to prison again?
Yeah.
Okay. What happens after you get out the second time?
Same thing, just selling drugs. And the next time I think I got caught with an ounce in a car. And I tried to run and they slammed me on the car. My chin bleeding, almost broke my arm.
Yeah.
But then I bailed out, caught another case, and it was just like at that point I knew it was like I gotta stop because I was facing state time again. And then I ended up beating 2 out of the 3 cases, and I pled to the third one. And the judge showed me grace, and I was able to do a program after I got out of jail. And then I think I've been clean since.
So you do so the judge gives you an opportunity the third time to do a program.
Yeah, well, I had to sit up and finish my parole time first.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the case was still going on, so I was able to bail out once the parole hold came off.
What was the program that he allowed you?
It was the Fortune Society. It was an outpatient program.
Okay.
Yeah, and they basically, if you don't complete the program, you have to go do your state time.
Okay.
But I completed the program.
And it's a substance abuse program?
Yeah, substance abuse program.
What were you doing drug-wise?
I was never into hard drugs. I used to just smoke weed, drink. I never sniffed. I grew up around that. Like
Yeah.
when I was young, we used to go to AA meetings with my mom since little kids. So
Yeah.
like I have a lot of alcoholics, dope fiends, everything in my family. So we always seen that. I had families that died from drugs. So we knew never to do hard drugs. But I'm a hypocrite because obviously we sold the drugs, which is just as bad,
Yeah.
if not worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they send you to this program, you complete the program. What was it in the program? You said you've been clean ever since.
Yeah.
What was it in the program that kind of shifted your thinking?
I think what shifted my thinking was I felt like I was smarter than that. Like going back to jail again feels like a bad dream. The smells, everything is the same, and then you see people that get stuck there. So it's kind of like I don't want to get stuck there, you know. And like I said, being in boot camp for free, and my brother's getting paid to do boot camp, it was like, come on, you're better than this. So what really helped me was honestly, I started a business. I started the moving company.
So that was after the program, you start a moving company.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that idea?
I was working for a moving company first, and I seen how much money they were making. So I'm like, yo, I thought it would be easy. I thought you just buy a truck and make a ton of jobs. But what happened was I bought the truck. The boss found out I had the truck, and he felt like it was a conflict of interest and fired me.
Oof.
Yeah, so I had the truck sitting there for months. I didn't make no money with it. But once he fired me, it kind of motivated me to really push forward. So it was hard the first year, but what really helped boost us was Yelp. Once we started getting good Yelp reviews, we obviously had to get the commercial insurance policy. You need $1 million coverage just to get in the building in Manhattan, but it's very lucrative. It's just hard work and a lot of headaches, but
Yeah.
yeah, but we did pretty good.
So you talked about that sink or swim
Yeah,
mindset. Your boss gets rid of you because of conflict of interest.
yeah,
You're now left. You do have a truck. You see an opportunity. You've never owned a moving company before. This was your first time.
yeah.
Do you think, with your father passing away, you, your brother, and your mom kind of being in that sink or swim moment, do you think learning that from an early age played a major factor in where you were at?
Well, I think we were fortunate to always somehow like God would bless us with role models that we didn't foresee coming. Like I can name at least five. Like I said, when we was going to AA meetings, we had this guy named Joe. Shout out to Joseph Bolin. He felt bad that my dad died. He put us on baseball teams, and he tried it. And he was a white guy too. That's the funny part because he used to pick us up for the baseball games, and we so he told him come upstairs. And I never understood why he didn't want to come upstairs. But now that I'm older, I realize he didn't want to come upstairs in the project. It was dangerous for him. So, but he definitely did. He said we remind him of his nephews. He had twin nephews,
Yeah.
and so he said that's why he helped us. So we had him. I had this other dude named Hen Dog. We used to go to Manhattan and sell these four corner newspapers. It's like a hip hop newspaper, and he used to bring us because we were kids. So we used to just sell the papers in Manhattan. So we used to tell people, oh, you want to buy a four corners hip hop paper? They say no, we ask them for a donation. So things like that kind of molded us to be entrepreneurs.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like mentors in your
Yeah.
life are so important.
Yeah, but you see sometimes you get the wrong ones, like the ones that teach you how to bag up, cook,
Yeah.
But their intentions are good. They think they're helping you,
Yeah, of course.
or using you. Depends how you look at it.
Yeah. So you are now, you have this moving company you had started. How long do you own the moving company for?
Probably like 6 years, maybe. Yeah,
Okay.
5, 6 years. So it was good. The only thing I wasn't ready as an entrepreneur. I was young. I still had the drug dealer swag, so I was hiring my whole neighborhood, and we would do shit like work all day, go to the strip club at night, and then go back to work hungover, like we were doing stuff
Yeah.
like that. But it was good. But eventually, we parted ways with it, and we bought our first property.
So did you own it going into COVID?
No,
You
we was
see,
already done with it. Yeah,
okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
great.
yeah.
I mean, because I feel like a lot, especially in this area, in New York City, moving kind of took a screeching halt for a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, we got rid of it.
And okay, so you get rid of the moving company. What do you decide to do next?
So we closed on a multi-unit property in Brooklyn. And then, like I said, I had a CDL, so I was working I was a union cement truck driver for local 282 Teamsters. Yeah, it was pretty good money, pretty easy work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
So
doing that for a while. Yeah,
And the benefits are great too.
yeah, medical, everything, yeah, retirement, annuity. Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
So you do
And
that.
they don't discriminate against felons. Like I said, if you got a trade, they don't care about your record. They take you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. So when do you guys start? So yes, your brother's good with metal. Your brother's still in the military at this point,
he
right?
got 4 more years, so you retire.
Okay. And you explained how you guys came up with the idea to get into jewelry. When do you start pursuing that avenue? What year?
I think 2020. Yeah, 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's like I try to explain this to people in real time during the pandemic that when else, because I was getting like $1,000 a week just to stay home because of the unemployment with the COVID. I'm like, when are they gonna ever pay you to chase something you want to first? Now I was already anxious to get back to being an entrepreneur again, so we just leveraged that time off, that steady paycheck, even though it's a bit of pay cut. Wasn't doing that. You wasn't spending too much money on COVID, so we like I said, we got all the equipment. We started at home. He took a bunch of classes. Then he was teaching me, so both of us wouldn't have to pay for the classes. And we started building it up on Instagram. Yeah.
And were you selling digitally? So basically people would go to your website, make an
No,
order.
we didn't even have a website. We were selling just on Instagram. Somebody would put an order in, and we'd just do it for them and deliver, make videos, make content. It was mostly just custom jewelry.
Yeah.
But the first couple pieces were pretty much break even just because we were eager to prove ourselves and show people we could do it. So our first few customers got a great deal.
Yeah.
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 That's amazing. And what was the first piece that you ever made?
Uh, yeah, the first piece is like silver practice pieces, but the first piece I could really remember
That you sold?
that I sold was the one I could really stand out is this big. It was a big 4-inch, fully diamond out the family pendant with BS diamonds, 14 karat gold. So that was the first one that was like a big deal for us. And I also made well recently my favorite piece we ever made was my little cousin passed away. So we made literally his face with enamel. It looks realistic, and we gave it to his mom.
Mm,
Yeah, so that was like the favorite piece that we ever made, in my opinion.
wow. So what was it like? You guys eventually move into a store. Did it have anything to do with you own this multi-family property,
Yeah,
but then you guys find another location in Williamsburg to set up the jewelry store?
yeah, because it was becoming dangerous, like meeting people in the street with jewelry and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Williamsburg
Yeah, so at
has,
least for the storefront, people come in. We got bulletproof glass. We got buzzing door.
yeah,
So it's more safe, and people take it more serious too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So basically, our mindset was when we knew we was gonna start a business, but we thought a brick and mortar was the way to go, as opposed to like because the moving company is like you're answering the phone all day, you're sending certificate of insurance. So we wanted something more that we could relax with. And we was like, if you open a restaurant, if you fail, you lose your money, the equipment. Gold is currency, so there's no way we could lose. We could always liquidate later. So that's why we looked at it. We never looked at it like a get rich quick thing.
mm,
We looked at it more like a savings plan because the ultimate goal is always real estate.
yeah,
So we just want to leverage the jewelry to keep getting more real estate.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
very smart.
Yeah.
Where did the mentors taught you all this about real estate and
Yeah,
investment,
well,
compounding, et
yeah, well, the
cetera?
guy that sold us the first vending machine route, he taught us a lot about business. He's still my friend to this day. He helps us a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, that's amazing.
yeah, he
The
gives
guy
us
knows what he's doing. I mean, he
yeah,
has it.
yeah. He's an entrepreneur too, through and through. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
like I can feel it. It's embedded in your brain. Like
yeah.
the real estate, the entrepreneurship.
And it's funny because when you're younger, you think about like, oh, you're gonna be around rich people and stuff. I always felt like that, but I always expect they would look like rappers. I
Yeah.
never knew they'd be like Jewish people, elderly white men. So now it's like it's a different thing, you know. You
It's
know,
wild.
yeah. So you change your whole aura. See, like this, the way I dress, because people connect with that. But in
Yeah.
different rooms, I got to change it up a little bit, you know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah,
So you have started many companies and you're an entrepreneur. You've had success. I mean, currently your business is very successful. The moving company, I understand why you got out of that, but that was a success.
yeah. You can still see our Yelp reviews, everything. We could have kept going, but that's why I think if we would kept going, I would have accomplished my goals by now. But
Yeah.
it was just I was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've started companies, and something I've experienced is that fear.
yeah,
You're dropping everything to now focus on a business that you don't know if it's going to be profitable. You don't know if it's going to be successful. You don't know whatever. What did you feel that feeling, or did you just know in your head you're going to be successful no matter what? How did you come out? How did you, because you're taking a leap of faith,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
How did you take that leap of faith without even really thinking twice about it?
I just feel like if you've been broke before, what's to be scared of? To go back to broke? You can always start. If you could do it once, you could do it twice. So failure, I'm more scared to not try. I look at people like, and I see 20 years, 30 years older men waiting for time, and I think like I feel like no offense to people that's okay with that, but I feel like I'm destined for more. And my biggest fear is to stay stagnant and look back and be like 50 years just passed me like that, and I didn't do nothing. That's what scares me. That's why even this is scary, but at least I'd rather take a chance putting myself out there as opposed to just not doing nothing.
Well, something I've noticed in your story, you take action
Yeah,
no matter what. Like
yeah,
you guys are bunkered down, COVID. You guys are, let's go. Let's start making jewelry. Let's practice with silver, watch videos, learn. Let's start making jewelry and sell it online on
yeah,
Instagram,
yeah. But a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people they could have that if they believe in themselves. They'll see somebody like you and think they can never be you, or don't even try to. And People they'll finance an expensive car, but be scared to finance a house.
Yeah.
People would uh they'll spend money on credit cards on clothes and don't even give it a chance to buy a camera, a microphone, and try. And I think that's what needs to be taught more: financial literacy, and teach people how to make businesses and think outside the box.
Yeah.
I think the younger generation gets it more now
Yeah.
than opposed to the older generation.
I think the younger generation, Gen Zers, are more risk takers, but
Yeah,
I think the work ethic isn't as good.
yeah, yeah,
But it's about working smarter, not harder, right? So,
yeah,
like, if you have that mentality and you're willing to take a chance and you have the intelligence to work smarter versus harder, and technology is much different now as well. You have Chat GPT
mhm,
that could write up whatever you need for you instead of having to write an email that'll take you 30 minutes before Chat GPT.
yeah,
So they're saving time as well.
yeah.
Um, you you now have this company. What are some of the day-to-day struggles and adversity that you face owning a jewelry store and owning a company?
I guess doubt sometimes doubt, but I have a strong team, so we pick each other. I got my brother, my boy CJ, my boy Calvin, and my boy Jesus. So we all help each other. We all, if one of us have a bad day, the other one's lift it up. But I think in the beginning, the struggle is getting people to take you serious, and also getting fair pricing, because obviously it's a Jewish dominated industry, and also Indian, and I'm none, neither or. So, but you could build relationships, but at first it's hard.
So you've surrounded yourself with the right people.
Well, yeah, well, nobody ever walked us into the doors. We walked ourselves in like the same way we do everything. But they look at you weird, like, who sent you?
Mm-hmm.
But we just keep working, keep networking, keep trying. And like I said, the hardest thing is just, for example, with jewelry. If you got a big name, they'll spend whatever just to buy the name. When you don't have the name, people tend to want to come to you for a deal or discount, which we do. We always give fair pricing.
Mm.
But we want to get that brand name so we could be held to a higher standard, because we could compete. We could make anything any other jeweler makes. A lot of people compare like a $200,000 piece to our $4,000 piece and say it's better. Yeah, give me a $200,000 budget and you're gonna see something amazing too.
Yeah. You're going to see what it would look like as
Yeah,
like a $600,000
yeah,
piece for 200 grand. Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. Do you compare yourself at all? Like on social media, a huge issue right now with society is being on social media and scrolling and comparing
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
Do you do that at all?
yeah. Well, they say comparison is the killer of joy, but yes, I definitely do, because there's people. All right, so people always compare us to people 10 years in the game. A lot of jewelers have 2 generations in the game. So it's good to be compared to them, because it keeps me motivated to get to where they're at. But I also remind myself that it's only been 3 years and we coming close. So imagine what 3 more years gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you did it during COVID. You did
Yeah.
it during a tough
Yeah, we did it
time.
with no business loan, nothing. Just hustle.
Yeah.
All hustle. Nobody helped us in no type of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In total, how many people work at the jewelry store?
Uh Me, my brother, Calvin, Jesus, CJ, 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. We rotate. We all help each other.
Did you ever have anyone try to rob you guys?
Yeah, we got robbed. We got robbed twice. But once was it was like a snatch and grab, which was they took 2 chains.
Yeah.
But we improved our security so it won't happen again.
Yeah.
And the other one, they just stole an AC unit outside the building.
They stole your AC unit?
Yeah, crackhead or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. I
yeah,
wouldn't even consider that as being robbed. I'd be like, fuck it,
yeah.
like whatever.
Yeah, the unit was like 6,500.
Oh, yeah, you got
Yeah,
robbed.
yeah, yeah.
They sold the scrap metal.
Yeah, scrap metal, which is stupid.
Oh,
Well, you got like $600. I'd have gave him that.
dude, that was me, bro.
Yeah.
Selling scrap metal,
Yeah,
copper, whatever it's
yeah.
got in it. That's great. What piece of advice would you have for someone who is struggling right now, whether they're listening and they're a teen or down and out, maybe thinking about taking a leap of faith and chasing a career or entrepreneurship? What piece of advice would you have?
I think first things first is don't be too proud, because I feel like everybody wants to get to the last step without going through the first few steps. So if you need to work and this is a stepping stone, just be smart with your money. Like you said, everybody compares their self, and nobody you see that part, and you never see what it took to get there. That's why we started our podcast to highlight, the jewelry. You see, it gets people attention. People wonder, what does he do for a living?
Mm.
We always see the successful part, but you never hear the backstory of what it actually took, the losses, and that's what we try to highlight on the Blunt School podcast, to try to get people to understand that side of it and get advice from actual entrepreneurs and show people different ways of like making money. We had one kid that he did scrap metal. He literally does all scrap metal, and he makes money doing it. So there's a way. You just have to look for the red car theory. If you're not looking for a red car, you're not going to see it. But if you're looking for it, you're going to see it. You look for the opportunity, it's going to present itself.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think people just got to have believe in yourself, and then take action too, bro.
Before, when I was saying, the mentorship, you talked about having mentors, and I was like, yeah, mentors are huge. And you're like, well, you got to make sure you have good ones. Now, I understand you're talking about people who taught you how to cook up cocaine, but
Yeah.
how do you vet a good mentor to, start to look up to and keep in your life?
How do I get a
So
mentor?
yeah. So like, how do you figure out, like, for example, I believe you said his name was Joe in
Yeah,
the AA meetings,
yeah,
and he turned out to be a mentor of yours and really took you under your wing. Now, yeah, you were very young at that time,
yeah.
but like, how did you know like his intentions were good and he really wanted to help you and his knowledge was good as well?
I guess anybody could teach you anything. You can learn something from the guy in the street just sleeping in a cardboard box. You got to just be smart enough to navigate through that. So I think don't the a sign of an indicator of a bad mentor is somebody trying to send you to do something they wouldn't personally do. I think that's an indicator.
So
Yeah,
someone who basically tell or gives you advice on something on how to do it,
yeah,
but they don't do it.
yeah. If you got a gang member trying to recruit young kids because they're trying to utilize them, if they wouldn't recruit their own children, maybe that should be an indicator that that's not the right mentor. Even
Ooh,
people influence you to do drugs and things like that.
you better be doing drugs if you're telling me to do drugs.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe the intention is good when you have fun, right?
What would your advice be to someone who just got out of doing time, being incarcerated, and looking to change their life?
Remove the ego. You could have been the biggest dude in the yard. You might have to settle for wiping tables. They come with it. And like I said, I think soldiers have that same issue where they come back to society, they got this high ranking and they felt important. And then you come into this world and you feel like nothing. But if you remove the ego and you understand it's part of the process, you won't take it as personal. Be patient.
Vulnerability and
Yeah,
humility.
yeah, because it is a blow to your ego. When you're the biggest man in the yard, in the jailhouse, you come home, you can't even buy your kid diapers. It hurts you as a man. You feel less than.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you shouldn't. You got to trust the process. You can't expect to come home and catch up to all your friends. Every time I went back to jail, it's because I was trying to catch up. You got to move at your own pace. You know,
What was the first experience that you had that you can remember? I'm assuming after the third time you were incarcerated, where you're you were kind of forced almost, or you made the decision to remove that ego and practice humility.
that's crazy. Because when I was on parole, I used to think like, oh, when I get off parole, it's lit because they can't do nothing to me no more. I'm bail out every time. And then when that's what I thought it was gonna be. And then when I actually finished parole and beat that case, I was so grateful to not be on parole no more because that shit was harder than the bid in a sense. So I just didn't want to be back on parole ever again. It kind of held me down. I couldn't move around the way I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the parole is definitely a hindrance in a sense.
Yeah. And then what did humility look like for you, and what did it do for you once you practiced humility for the first time?
It's rewarding when you get to help people and change. Because I was sad when I had the moving company. I had friends that were still in the streets, and I used to try to convince them to come work for me. And a lot of them, their intentions were good, given the right opportunity. I had dudes in the truck that I never expected to be working. So I actually have a close friend of mine that he was working trying to change his life, and he actually got killed while working for us. So it was kind of sad because it's like, damn, he could have really changed, and he could have been with me right now with the jewelry store if he would have survived. You know?
He got killed on the job or
No,
a separate
no,
incident?
in his neighborhood, in our neighborhood, yeah, yeah. So it's just a lot of people, like I said, if they're given the right opportunity, they'll change. It's just money controls a lot of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to give your socials a shout out? Where can people find you, your website, and where are you located, your jewelry store?
We're located 267 Graham Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. The store is called Blancs Gold at Blancs, BLANCS_GOLD. You can also check out our podcast, Blancs Gold Podcast. We cover everything from the come up to the bust down.
And mentorship.
Yeah, mentorship. If you need any advice in the jewelry industry, DM me, message me. I'll offer you any advice if I could. And hopefully one day we'll start a program where we could teach people, you know?
Actually, before we wrap up, one more thing I want to talk about that I noticed. You talked about giving back and like
Yeah.
helping others, and that is so important. And I used to be a very selfish person. I
Yeah.
used to do for what was best for me. Once I started helping others, I call them self-esteemable acts because I used to have low self-esteem. I cared about myself, no one else, thought about myself all day. I was so self-centered. And then once I started doing for other people, then it started to, self-esteemable acts, it started to build my self-esteem.
Yeah.
What does helping others do for you?
Definitely, I feel like I had so much bad karma. I could use some good karma, and it's not about, it's not about me. But I look at the world differently. Like for example, one of the properties boards East New York. So we used to always go trick or treating in Park Slope. They give you tons of candy. The first time I tried to trick or treat in East New York, I'm going down the avenue, and all the stores said no candy, no candy, no candy. So I'm thinking like, damn, they here all year long taking the community's money, and they can't give the kid a piece of candy. So that kind of like made me feel like I don't want to be that. If I'm taking from the community, I want to give back too. You know, even I can't help everybody, but the ones I could help, I'll try. You know.
Yeah.
So that was an eye opener to me too. You know.
Yeah.
That's why we buy in the East New York, Queens. We buy in these type of areas because everything is changing, everything is gentrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get pushed out.
But it's amazing how you see the stores not giving out the candy. You saw it that way.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, you're making money. You saw it from the community standpoint.
Yeah.
Not everyone sees it that way.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like there's got to be a shift of thinking from all of your experiences and everything that you went through
Yeah.
to look at it that way.
Yeah, because if you love your community, you love the children of the community. You're gonna look out for them. If you don't like the people you're servicing, then why are you taking the money? Why are you there doing business?
Yeah.
If you're scared of them, whatever the case may be, and I realized that moment.
Yeah.
I was walking for blocks, could get a piece of candy. I'm like, this is crazy.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, thank you very much for making the drive. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for inviting me, man. Much appreciated.
Yeah, of course, man.